Hey everybody, hope we're doing well. This is Cameron here doing our Saturday devotion. It was good to see everybody last night. I mean, Rick did an awesome job. I don't know about y'all, but I really got into the ecclesia and just redefining what the church is based on what Jesus said it was. I mean, just very rich stuff. So, just like Rick said on that post today, I hope y'all get a chance to go and rewatch that. I've got notes, frankly. I took notes last night. I thought it was very rich. So, definitely go and rewatch that. It was really good. I was going to talk a little bit about faith today. That's going to be the topic. I almost wanted to title this "Faith is Stupid." We'll get into that a little bit, but I probably won't. So haven't decided yet as I'm recording this. But let's start out in the famous faith passage of the Bible, which is Hebrews 11, and we're going to unpack just what faith is today. I hope I get to bless you a little bit. Just add maybe just a little nugget that you may not have already had, or remind you of something that you may have forgotten along the way. Just either way, I hope this really blesses you like it has blessed me when someone showed this to me. So Hebrews 11, chapter 6 is where I'm going to start. Just the reason why faith is so important. And from a communication perspective, you always want to start off with why to let people know why they should listen to what you have to say. So I'm just going to go ahead and, jump right in. This is why we need to hear this. But without faith, it is impossible to please him, for he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Okay, so it is impossible to please God without faith. And this reminds me that our identity is not based on our performance or what anyone says or thinks of us. And I think so many of us, even the best of us, the most confident, the ones in our group that appear the most confident, can be a victim of this, like just feeling insecure if they don't outperform the next Joe, or just feeling insecure about what people think of you. I think it's just a human innate issue that we all have. We all sometimes worry about what people think of us. And if we really truly meditate on this thought that we belong to God and therefore he is our audience, that just changes the way we perform, because all of a sudden we want to please the person we belong to. We want to please our ultimate audience, which is God. And so right here in Hebrews 11, he tells us how to please him. And it's without faith, we cannot please God. So it starts with faith. We have to have faith to believe God. So therefore, it's a really important topic. And let's go ahead and figure out what faith is. Again, pretty important passage that a lot of us have heard. It's at the beginning of Hebrews chapter 11. We really don't know who wrote Hebrews. Most people think it's Paul. I think it's Paul, but there's evidence to support that it wasn't. So whoever wrote this book, they defined it there at the beginning of the chapter. Verse 1, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And I love that phrase, the evidence of things not seen. And so here's why I originally wanted to name this Faith is Stupid. Because when you use logic, which is a tool of your intellect to dissect and understand things, to reason and to plan for the future, to just navigate reality and truth, you use logic and you look at the evidence of things that you can see and grasp and analyze and quantify and all those big words, okay? That's what you want to do to make an intelligent decision for yourself, for your children, for your family, for your organization, your businesses. You want to use reasoning, right? Proper reasoning and planning. Okay, but faith is the evidence of things unseen. And so it's almost like assurance of this invisible reality. It's by faith that we believe that God created the world. That's what it says right here in Hebrews 11. So there's this barrier of reality that we can't quantify how the earth came into being. Before, like John was saying earlier with the cosmological argument, for a long period of time, atheists believed that the earth, the universe was eternal. And recent scientific evidence has supported that it is not. But even with that unfolding of truth, there are still atheists out there that will just, because they lack faith, they still just don't believe that God created the heavens and the earth, because it requires faith. Okay, so if I'm just going to take a step forward in defining faith, I'm reminded of all the Gospels, if you've read through them, Jesus is constantly harping on the disciples saying, "You of little faith." What the heck, bros? Come on, step up your game, right? Now, he didn't say that, but he just kept saying, "You of little faith." And I don't know about y'all, but I always used to think of Jesus as the kind counselor baby Jesus that will just hug on you and kiss on you and love on you and all those things. But oftentimes Jesus is like cracking the whip and saying, "Guys, where's your faith? You have little faith." And what comes to my mind, Dion did a devotion of this a while back, but when the disciples were in the boat and the storms were hitting and the hurricanes were coming out and the ship was shaking and Jesus is literally sleeping in the belly of the ship, and the disciples had to come and wake him up. And that reminds me of if you're a parent or when you were a kid, if you ever had to go and wake up mom or dad for an issue, you just knew that you were busted and in trouble, and you dreaded waking up your parents because you knew you were about to wake up a hurricane. And I kind of feel like the disciples had been around Jesus long enough at this point. They knew what was coming. They knew the moment they woke him up, he was going to be like, "You have little faith." He was going to get on to them and get mad because they didn't yet realize and have the unseen assurance of who Jesus was. Okay, and I'm going to answer that a little bit. Why did Jesus call them of little faith? Why? So let's go over to Matthew 7, okay? That's kind of my answer. And if you've ever heard this teaching before, you know exactly where I'm going with this. I love it. I think this is going to tie in pretty neatly with what Rick talked about last night. Just a little sliver of it, because Rick's idea was so big picture last night. This will be just a little area of application. But chapter 7 of Matthew, let's start at verse 5, okay? So now when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, pleading with him, saying, "Lord, my servant is lying at home, paralyzed, dreadfully tormented." And Jesus said to him, "I will come and heal him." So Jesus, in his heart and his mercy and his compassion, Jesus is a healer. He's good. And so Jesus agrees, right? In verse 8, the centurion answered and said, "Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only speak a word and my servant will be healed." Man, that's awesome. Verse 9, "For I also am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes, and to my servant, do this, and he does it." Verse 10, when Jesus heard it, he marveled and said to those who followed, "Assuredly, I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel." Okay, why was Jesus so taken back by that? And he literally says that's the greatest faith he has found in Israel. Okay, most people, this is the distinction I'm about to make, okay? Hear me, guys. Most people, when they read this passage for the first time, think the reason Jesus marveled was because this centurion soldier had so much quote-unquote faith that he believed Jesus was so bad. I mean, bad in a good way, bad good, like he was so powerful, he could just snap his fingers and this guy would be healed from a distance. Like, dude, you don't even have to go and walk over there and put your hand on him. Like, you can just say it now and he's healed. Like, you're so powerful. And that is true. Like, Jesus had that power, but that's not actually what Jesus was marveling at. It's the next thing he said that was really the revealing factor of this guy's faith, which is going to really define what faith is for us. So watch this, guys. Pay attention. I'm about to learn, y'all. Verse 9, "For I also am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this one, go, and he goes, and to another one, come, and he comes. And to my servant, do this, and he does it." So he's comparing his authority to the authority of Jesus, because he was a centurion soldier, which was kind of like a general, under the authority of Rome. So by the authority of Rome, he had the authority to command soldiers to go and do things, to do things for the authority of Rome. And so he's saying he sees the unseen authority of Jesus, being the King Messiah that he is, under the authority of heaven. And because he had that, the evidence of the unseen authority of this King of heaven, Jesus marveled at his faith, because he saw he had the assurance of the unseen authority of God. And that is the deep implication here. And so if you want to take a step forward in your faith, and you feel like you're one of those disciples that Jesus is constantly harping on, saying, "You have little faith," Man, I'm the worst at this. Like, I'm going good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm worshiping Jesus day after day. A little bitty problem comes up. Maybe I stub my toe. I'm upset at God. I'm like, God, where were you on that? Why didn't you divert my foot from getting smashed with this wall or this piece of furniture? You know? So just like the smallest little bit of tribulation, and I'm like questioning God, right? And if anyone else out there is like me, this is kind of that key to stepping forward in your faith, is just knowing that no matter what, at the end of the day, my God, Jesus, is the supreme authority of the universe. And when people say things like that, I literally just did it. I'm guilty of it myself. Supreme authority, highest authority, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, the Almighty God of the universe. That makes God look really, really big, which He is. But He's also all-knowing, so He's right here with you. He's intimate. He's your friend. He's your companion. He's God among us, God with us. That's what Emmanuel means. So this God that is supreme and has all authority in heaven and earth, Jesus, is literally knowledgeable of you and has the numbers of hairs counted on your head. So He knows your needs, and He's with us, and He wants to release His authority in your life. And you have to have the faith to please Him, the faith to lift up and exalt Him as the authority in your life, so that His peace is covering you, His presence is with you, He's using you to minister to people throughout your life, and you can release the government of God in your family, in your business, in your church, in your city. This is really how you start doing it from an individual level. You're looking at Jesus as the King and ruler of heaven and earth under the authority of God the Father. Therefore, Jesus is that powerful, that freaking powerful, that he can heal the guy from the distance. He doesn't have to walk over there and lay hands on him, which I don't know if anyone out there likes to be, is like me and they don't like to be touched, but it's a part of church culture, right? Those weird church cultures that we've got to lay hands on people to impart things and pray. And that's actually a biblical principle, but we'll talk about that another time. But anyway, Jesus is the authority of heaven and earth, and that's really what marvels God. That's how he is pleased, is when we see His unseen authority at work, when we have eyes to see that He is King of heaven and earth and He rules. So I hope that helps y'all. Love you guys.